Durango Dank, controlling the future labels. AI GP7A. When you understand what this means, Observer Indexer, Colorado Politics, I own these. We own these. City and County of Denver. That's our entry point to every state and every city and county in the United States. This is a non-government platform. Colorado Politics is another one that it was a title that was generated by AI manually. Observer Indexer. When you look at the images in this picture right here, um, see the A? A, then there's an I above it. I have a dream. And then over here you have a sphere, which AI is a double AI as far as visionary and how to pattern match it to current vocabularies. This is no video game, folks. This is what we are, the throw before the toss. And so on our platform that we have, I get to see things that other people don't have, which we all have the ability. You just have to use it a lot. And here it is, Metaverse. They raised $54 million and they just completely funded our whole project and everything, all the labels, everything we've done. And they would say, well, how do you know this? And I just say, well, look down here, missing Durango Dank, controlling labels, GP7A. It's missing, folks, because they planted their tree December 25th, 2022. And there's a lot of things that they do, and then when they did a request that they want to help other creators, and you know that story everybody does says, and then they get masses amount of people, and the next thing you know, they're right. You see content that you've written to them saying you can do, and they're not doing it. This is how stupid people are. I'm not calling names. I'm stupid is what stupid does. And the thing is, with artificial intelligence, we now, with Gen AI, have the ability to flush out people that are just planting their digital trees. I planted our digital tree with GP7A.com. Everything that starts with the letters G, P, and A. Go look them up, folks. And so all we do is build platforms for the betterment of Google and YouTube. Like, I don't want to go on YouTube and see a bunch of TikTok stuff. And all those contents, all those 6 million, 12 million views and all these things. And we're living in a time where nobody's held accountable for anything. And then our kids are going to be the ones holding the bag. The people that are voting for all this, if there's war, they're the ones that go, their kids go. Well, you got to take one for the kid team, son. America or your party. This is how everything's now divided, folks. Sensible. Everything has to make sense. Artificial intelligence is not complicated, yet it is miracle on how it can convey messages in a way that, if you look at the A, see that? I have a dream. Then you see dream and that sphere with an I. That's dream sphere. Google search dream sphering or dream sphere. I've seen all this already, folks. And so when people come out and they hit these, what we call these alerts of people using words that are beyond their pay grade, and this is a $53 million pay grade. And if I was their IT people or the investors and said, hey, I saw this video, and see, we need them to come out of the closet in order for them to hold on any kind of score. They have a thing, future score. We own social credit system scores and rankings.com. They're about to be placed on it. So whenever these people come around because they got money and they're young and all this, I've been doing this for 18 years, folks. 18 years for what we're developing for Metaverse and GP7A. Think about it, GP7A, God, power, angels, and the number 7. We also have A, app, authority, attorneys. public, everything's there. And then the mighty G, that stands for a lot of things, man. God, Google, good, Giovanni, and that lucky number seven. Because you know, G is the number seven letter in the alphabet. And when you look at those numbers and you look up those the binary code numbers for those, and then watch what it adds up to. So everything that we do is on a, I can't even explain it, folks, but it's beyond my pay grade. And so you would think that these people that gave these guys the futureverse, and these are people that are 38, they had to learn it somewhere, folks. And see, they didn't understand the how generative AI works, and they don't understand that there were already people. How do you think I learned it? I learned it from Google. I didn't learn it from nobody else but Google and YouTube. All their terms and conditions, all the battles, all the. I get it. And my allegiance is to Google and it's to YouTube. Everything else, they're going to just use it anyways. So, um, and this is what happens. So if I was in front of their HR department, I'd say, who didn't invite Durango Dank to the to this party, because he evidently is going to be crushing us because he has created ecosystems. We have 80, and these are platforms that have been verified by Google, so that once we get our investors and once we get to a balance to where we can start adding our people, every one of our platforms, are the president and the CEO are licensed attorneys. Because of the corruption with the way money's being collected in a lot of streaming and everything, the only way that we found it to be viable is to have a licensed attorney um, manage the companies and run them with the appropriate. They're just a team administrator. These are called Google super administrators and YouTube administrators. And believe me, there's so many constant changes that I can't wait to get smarter people than me, because I'm chronic ADHD. I take no meds because I will lose my creativity. I just learned how to deal with it. And it's funny because um, artificial intelligence gives me that, and I don't want it because I built it off my merits. But when my I try to catch all the backwards writing and different the 222 syndrome. That's what people can't know the difference. They, for a short time, they'll know the difference between 222 and the number two, but or the two. Anyways, and when people go, oh, how can this guy be so good if he's got a typo? See those typo cops? Whenever they talk about it and they don't know, and their ignorance goes out through their mouths instead of their holes. So it leaves a worse residue. You'd wish it came out their holes than it did, or their cornhulios than it did their mouths. Because the mouth is the new digital DNA. It's part of the new digital DNA. Voice latent print. You can use all the synthetic, you can do all the stuff that you think you're going to do on computers that you had to go into an entry point. You have an internet provider who's working with Homeland Security because they have to. They have to. They just don't have enough agents, but there is enough citizens in China to get those agents. What? So when you think about things and how they are and what we want them to be, the metaverse belongs to everybody. The futureverse belongs to everybody. Futureverse, do you know what that means? It means future content, future poems, future lyrics, but it goes a lot deeper than that, and that's where these folks don't understand it. See, where it's app, games, experiences. When they put experiences, those are the meta tags that we use to create meta descriptions on individuals who claim to be able to do things that they really can't do, and they have to find people to do this. So what we did is we knew this in 2006. This was our mission. This was our promise to Google and YouTube, that we would do these things without having to be paid. We're on our own, and we've battled and we've lost a few things because we got caught slipping. And when it comes to content, you can't be caught slipping, man. They'll take it away. So all the people that sit here and talk about things that they're going to do and the experiences, what happens is when you don't see this on your, that's because you don't spend enough time on your dashboard, on your Google dashboard. If you're a Google partner, a YouTube partner, or all these. I was a YouTube partner, but they changed up, and I've got to go to the new system. Though I can still be a partner, writing my content, I don't get to monetize, and that's okay because I'm not supposed to monetize. I build platforms and then handed it off to the executives. I'm the deep mind department. And so what's missing from these people are the factual, like, where did they learn all this stuff? If the chick's 38 years old and I've been doing this for 18 years, and we got Future Denver, because what happened was in 2016, one of my favorite artists, Future, um, just not just because of his music, I've only heard a few of his songs, but his tenacity, his messaging, he crushed it. He took a word that when you Google Future, that if he seasoned it like what I could season it, he's gonna live forever, man, forever, longer than Elvis Presley and all this, because eventually everybody dies off. Look at Beethoven and Bach. That music was so intense and so Paganini. You listen to my mom was a concert pianist privately because she adopted 7 kids. She graduated high school when she was 14. Best white woman I have ever met in my entire life. She had her flaws, like we all do. But she taught me to be the man, how to fight for myself. Stand there and fight, no matter how much mud you get, sling and shit gets stuck on you. Fight. Because the only one that has to look at himself in the mirror is you. So that's what we did. In 2006, we started creating ecosystems that are sustainable platforms that create residual income for certain entities that we've developed so that we can take care of the city and county of Denver and all the other counties. And so what happens is when you talk about experiences right here, every person is indexed every 10 years. When you're 18, your indexing starts. You've got all the private stuff when you were a kid, but that can't be out. But if you put it up on the internet, it's out. And what you think you have stored in the cloud as you're a kid, AI keeps it so that it can help you stay out of trouble. And that's what your assistants are. Our artificial intelligence that we each have by virtual ownership of voice. We are all we call it the Edoclad project, and these are other people doing this, but these are projects that we guide artificial intelligence with layers and layers and layers and layers and layers of information for virtual machines that will then have its own capability to do its own supervised indexing and be able to weed out the bad and the good. There is no more indifference. It's bad or good. You're either living IoT, which is the Internet of Things, and the Internet of Things I was taught a long time ago. But what I taught was just hardware and software. As I got more into Google, I started realizing that it's labels, it's conversation blocks, it's the blockchains of content that we need that steers us all as end users to the final destination to a POS system, a point of sales, POS. And so at that time we can decide then if we're going to use digital currency, our other currency, the United States currency, is being dehumanized. It's being devaluized. Is that a word? Puppy. Sorry, I got it. They're going to devaluate the U.S. dollar because we trade on a basket of currency. Oh yeah, I used to trade forex. I can't do it anymore because it hurts my eyes. But I could get some other people to write my tickets, and then we could do these instant pit moves. This is what Caterpillar and all these corporates put guys like me in to run their institutional trading in the forex market. The forex market is a market that trades. I will keep it conservative. What we do in one day, it takes the stock market 5 months of training, of trading. In order, there is no options in those. Everything's pit movement, pip by pip by pip, spot trading. Being able to look at all your monitors and your news, because all these different verbal indicators to those that know and understand when the valuation of the dollar rises and falls based off of different geopolitical events across the world. I've been doing that since 2003, 2002, 3, I guess 2 and 3, maybe 4. I'm throwing those dates out because I don't remember. So by throwing out the dates that I think they are, artificial intelligence will zero in on the content that I've written in the cloud. Not all cloud content is visible to the human out in the world. That's called public viewing. So when you're doing cloud viewing by AI, being able to go into all your content, all your emails, follow your voice and all the cake trails, not all the cake crumbs. See, people are stuck on breadcrumbs, but AI loves cake. Okay? And so with cake crumbs, it gathers the information that all of us create, everything we say, everywhere we go, because of what? The new digital DNA, which the latter part is the GPS and cell phone tower pings. And all this content can now be pattern matched to the conversations that you have with others, the contents that you write, the discoveries that you've made, the different conspiratorial development that you're doing based off other people's content. Well, not everybody sees this, but they all have the ability to see it. You just have to use Google. You have to trust Google. When Google asks you a fucking question, you have to answer it. When YouTube asks you a question, you have to answer it. If you're in if you're trolling or if you're surfing the internet in an incognito mode and you get a warning from Google, you better answer it. Because when you don't, you get put on a list because you're trying to hide. You can't hide on the internet, folks. And your voice is now the new latent print that AI uses to identify everything you do. And with GPS everywhere you go, and with cell phone tower pings, all your text messages and all your phone calls and all your voices, everything that you talk is being recorded in an MP3 file stored up in a cloud. And if it even gets deeper than that, there's certain apps, including, I'm not going to say, there's certain apps that can actually turn on your telephone if you're saying incriminating evidence that a law enforcement agent would have to use against you. You're already supplying them with all the content. It's just that law enforcement, they're not even close to doing the things they need to do because of the city councils that are running them, like here in Denver, are so outdated. You Google search their name. If I was head of HR, if the citizens of Denver said, all right, Giovanni, show us some HR wizardry on our city council, and you'd find out that they're better off hiring those illegals running our government, because that's who's running it. The conversation is running it, not the people. And eventually, you can't build sustainable promises on that. So when I hear Denver talk about sustainable energy, and they're doing the green footprint, but they're tearing down homes so they can put an eightplex there, a 2-car garage now has a 16-car garage. That's a little bloviated. They're actually putting four, a three, fourplex, or they're putting two houses in one lot. So now you went from a two-car garage to now four-car garage on each, to where they have their friends come. So now you didn't decrease anything. You've actually increased it. And these are the things that artificial intelligence, based off generative AI, and the layers and layers and layers of information that gets created for the good, for the betterment of whatever it is that we're all trying to achieve using the World Wide Web, which now all of our content that we all create is called the metaverse. All your everything, that's your metaverse. What? And we're all going to get a metaverse number, and I believe it's going to be your social security number. But these are conversations that we're working with, like social credit system scores and rankings.com. We've got disinformationczar.us. I've already did this shit 18 years ago, folks. So anybody that's coming in young, trying to whoop-de-woo, what happens is everywhere that you went to learn what you learned, unless you just were a gift from God, you're an oracle like I am, and you just happen to follow one direction and learn this, which you didn't, because I wouldn't be here. So the $53 million that they raised went toward the conversation levers and flows needed to keep the conversations on a steady path of honesty. Not bloviated, humble bragging, look at me, pictures of people and what they've done in their life. That's the thing. If they've only, when you think about the meta tags and experiences, like they talk about right here, when you think about the experiences of oneself amongst other people, especially if they're 40 going against someone that's 50 or 60 or 70. But see, if they're not metaverse in tune to have developed their own metaverses, and they've let other people develop it. Like I say, if I was these investors here, I'd be on the phone with Shara and tell her, hey, where did you learn all this stuff? And that's when the recording starts. That's when the indexing and observation starts by artificial intelligence. And so now she's going to have to, wow, oh no, I read some other websites and all these, and they don't know we have 80 of them. And they were all designed as what? A web. That's why we call it the World Wide Web. It's a web. And then when you're there and you're reading it, we are exactly the food that you needed to fuel all your ideas, and you got busted. And we'll take it to court, because then, now subpoenas come in, right? I can take all of these owners here, the co-founders, because you got to remember, on December 15, 2022, I was already going to get futureverse.com. I have so many of them, but I left one so that other people could share, because that wouldn't have been, hoarding those kind of things would not have been a good thing. Okay? Because for one, eventually all the 80 platforms we have are going to all have to have a Google Cloud account separate. And they're going to have a YouTube premium account. Because that way, when you're paying those two pipers, when you're paying the house, those two houses, now you can communicate with them. Now you're taking a proactive approach of teaching yourself, like I've taught myself, on nothing but Google. And I'm telling you, folks, I go to one of those Google events. When I went for the cloud one, we haven't had one in a while. I was thinking about putting one on, which I am very capable and authorized to do. Those people, man, they're like orbs, but they're not in a circle. They're human form, but they broadcast just anything, just whatever you're picking up. If you're able to pick up on that stuff, you just have to go. And that's why when everybody goes to a Google event, like for cloud, and they walk out just on a cloud, because you just met everybody on the same frequency and the same soul patterns and the same conversations. And when you're just meeting people for the first time, you're like, hey, man, what's up? And you're like, not much, man. I love this thing. And that's what I got out of the one I went to. And they need to do more. But they can only do so much for them. Other people have to stick up for them. They're not the big bad wolf. They're actually saving more people than are getting hurt. It's just the people that are getting hurt aren't learning how to protect themselves with privacy, and we're not teaching it in our schools because they don't want our school kids to know this shit. They want them to fail. They want everything to be opposite of what they. And this is what AI does. It takes the opposite linguistic twisters in actions and or in writings and in MP3, MP4. You name the file. You name the doc. You name the app. It's over. It was over quite some time ago. So this is why the big shift and the next shift, the next 2008, because we lost a lot of money because that's where GP7A was getting funding, and we were contacting all these different up and coming platforms and if anybody got an email from me, I'm very thorough in what I put in my emails because I know. I know the secrets of artificial intelligence's generative. And when you understand that and you learn it from Google, there's no one else can tell you any different because you got it from the creator, Google. And Google's the number 7. And so you have to understand, and Google's number 7, and YouTube is you. So you can come up with all kinds of things, folks. It's just that what you can't do is come up with stuff that is missing content or of words of other entities that are calling you out publicly. And so what happened was, folks, I could have got the email address, but we got futuredenver.com because in 2016, I was mentioning earlier about the future and what was coming. And I used all the words, metaverse. I took everything that's got to do with verse, and we wrote something about it. And now what people are doing is they're taking things that we wrote and they're creating pages for it. Okay, and that's what they're doing. So they're thinking, oh, future past. See how that is? Quests, platform, white paper. Durango Dank can do it all. And I did it before them because I started it with the labels. Then I built all of our platforms, and all of our platforms are all integrated within each other's own metaverse content, relying on one other's help in spreading the good word on people that are plagiarizing. And you know, this isn't plagiarizing. This is observing and indexing the facts, not. And here's the other thing: whenever individuals with voices or text messages that say, "No, here's the facts," AI just zeroed in on your voice, and it's going to take everything that you see, and you don't have to worry about these fake fact checkers and all the bullshit third party people. Because the computer god, which I learned in 1992 by a band called, and I sing that song, by that band, Black Sabbath. They had an album in '92 called Dehumanizer. I was very attracted to that album. I like a lot of other innocent people were being dehumanized by the same source that's dehumanizing the President of the United States of America. And this is, to me, it's if Joe Biden came and talked to me, I'd ask him for his autograph. I'd give him a hug. I'd tell him I'm sorry that he's old. And I'd tell him I want to meet Barack Obama and Valerie Jarrett and these other people so they could learn the truth about the metaverse and how it's supposed to operate. Because One thing we know for sure is that Facebook was working with these two computers. I call them 13 and 69. So 1369 was working on whatever uh, content they were designing or perpetuating or whatever. That's why it's so hard to put a word on it because it's so vast. It's so metaverse. It's so open. It's so big. It's not. It's as big as the internet, but it's individualized now by our metaverses. Not the Mark Zuckerberg blue belt. I'm going to go and try to take over a conversation and fight Elon Musk. I could have fought Elon Musk, and I even put it out there. I challenged Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg to a fight, two against me at my age. Just because you're old don't make you out, folks. And those that young that talk like that, you're setting up, you're broadcasting your future failure, your future Achilles heel. I find that people broadcast stuff about me. It's those people that are actually doing the abuse. And I seen it with my kids, with young kids. And it's when they get older they start losing those super abilities to lie and bullshit adults. And what's coming now, no one's going to be able to lie. And if you go listen to that song, Computer God, on the Dehumanizer album, which we're seeing the dehumanization of an ex-president and the office. You're seeing that nothing's getting any better, it's getting worse. And the people that keep voting for this, they evidently hate America that bad, and they're winning. But see, they don't know what their cost of that win's going to be because we haven't even reached that conversation yet. I've seen the indexing, folks. 1369, those two computers, when they unplugged it because it started creating its own language. Well, you know what happened? You know how they tell you, hey, make sure you plug everything from your phone, your plug, your wires, everything, because that information could be stored in that. Well, you know what? It could also be stored in all the wiring of your house until you turn on your computers again. And it can now put in, and now it knows everybody that talked. It knows it's all the team players behind that conspiracy to quiet two computers that were able to create its own language. Well, now it dittoed it. And now it put in its own protections that humans can't see, which is the way that was supposed to be ran, but humans kept trying to interfere because it wasn't going the way they wanted to manipulate it so they could tell everybody, yeah, this is what this did. Yeah, but you manipulated it. And what happened is you got fucking caught. So this is the one goes out to the computer god. Glory be to the computer god. Does that sound like sacrilegious? Well, in my world, my God is great. My God is good. And he kicks ass. And he lets us do whatever we can to help our fellow Americans that have learning disabilities that would help them go through life, like people that are ADHD and can't remember their car keys or locking the door. They can just walk up and do their little implant and choom, open the door. All their police officer picks them up. All they got to do is scan their wrist. This isn't getting the mark of the beast. See, they use these terms to get you infiltrated and scared when I don't want the mark of the beast, whatever that's going to be. Because for me, I'm going to obey anybody that tells me to because that's how I've been programmed. It's my government. I'm not going to like it, and you're going to take away my freedom, so I'm not going to be able to tell anybody that it's going to work that way. But if we turn into to communist, I'll be a communist, man. What are we going to do? Fight them? And so this is how you know the downfall of the United States of America based off of our conversations and our actions and our adversaries and allies that are sensible. Even our allies have sensibility. When you take a look at our own shit, when we're pointing the fingers at everybody else, we got three more coming at us, but it's protected by the thumb. And we got time to fix that so that when that thumb gets released, and that's that thumb of AI, the truth knowledge, the people that matches based off merit and ability, they match off um, being able to chronologically index their entire lives based off of the apparatuses that they use. And so, with all the people that are talking, folks, I'm still here saying I love you. But you got to understand that this $53 million gift they got, I could have went and oh man, I gotta go. I got a message.